What's up, Navy Blue people? I hope you've had a good weekend. I hope you celebrated really well. I kind of wish we didn't need to talk about the next game. I don't really want to move on. I don't really know if we're going to get another win this season. And so, obviously, a different feeling this week. We're not listening to radio interviews or reading newspaper articles about how poor the Blues are and if our system is working. There's no need for Sauce or Michael Giudice to come in and give an interview. So it's been a breath of fresh air to see the positivity around the club from an external point of view. Now, obviously, you don't want to read too much into what the media say, but the reality is, as fans and supporters, when you open your phone or when you open your laptop and you read the news about the sport, you can't help but see the headlines. So I'm really happy to be in this situation, be in a situation where you feel like you feel good about your side, you feel good about where you're going. But this week we move on, and last year Bolts talked a lot about equilibrium and moving on and never getting too high and never getting too low. Just a few talking points, from the weekend and the fallout from the game. I listened to Murph speak about how the boys went and had a few drinks together and just celebrated the win, which is probably an important thing to do. A win for a group like us, it solidifies the hard work and it rewards the hard work that they've put in. I just don't want to imagine what it would have been like had we been 30 points up and the Suns found a way to get the win. It would have been really deflating. So I'm happy that the boys were able to get it done. Obviously, we speak about the green shoots, or we have heard about the green shoots all season, and to see Dow burst away like that, that particular play reminds me of an Adam Treloar or even a Dangerfield, in a sense where they're able to explode from a contest and kick a goal. I'm still really cut that I didn't see that Dow goal live. I've been watching the replay at least 19 times, and strongly worded email went out to watchafl.com. And anyway, hopefully it doesn't happen again. But, really pleasing to see that. Lockie O'Brien shows glimpses. He's got some ticker about him, which I really enjoy. Samo, again, had the game that we were all waiting for. So really pleased with how the young guys are going. Hopefully they pulled up pretty well. From what I understand, they stayed up at the Gold Coast for an extra day or two just to help them with their recovery. So hopefully that bodes well. Now, this week we've got the Giants, and I think the expectation is completely different this week. Let's sort of break it down. So last time we played the Giants was actually round 12, 2017. Now, I remember this one really clearly. I'm sure the rest of you do as well. We beat them by a point, 10-11-71 to 9-16-70 at Etihad. It was the biggest upset of the season, arguably, and the biggest upset that we've caused in quite some time. So I remember I was living in China, and my best mate was watching the game with me, and he was actually recording me while I was watching the game, and I was carrying on like a pork chop, and I didn't know he was recording me, and he ended up putting together a compilation video of some of my reactions. So I'll post it to the Facebook group, the Blue Abroad Facebook group, so you can check that out. But yeah, it was obviously our biggest win for the last few years. I've actually watched it twice this season. When we've been in our rough patch, I've wanted to see, I've wanted to be reminded of what Jacob Wiedering can do and what Caleb Marchbank can do, and so I went back and watched it twice. So I remember Matthew Cruiser. He ended up getting the 3 Brownlow votes. He had 21 possessions, a goal, 8 tackles, and 33 hitouts. He was really instrumental. Sam Doherty had 35 disposals and 12 marks, and I actually thought he was our best of the day, but whatever, doesn't matter at the moment. But yeah, we just sort of matched it with them. I remember they didn't kick straight at crucial moments. They missed goals. They may or may not have been off, that 5 or 6%, which allows teams to win when they're not expected to. So I think there was a situation like that. I don't really expect that to happen again. I think that loss will be lingering in their minds, and they're going to want to come out and make sure that history doesn't repeat. What I'm excited about this week, well, obviously the win that we've just had. I spoke about Cripps re-signing last week and how it would galvanise the group, and I feel like it might have played a factor in how they performed together. I think the win might galvanise the group. I think when you share that experience of winning, it tastes good, everything feels good. Your injuries that you have during the game don't hurt as much. And so I feel like, it's a starting point for some momentum. It's very crucial that we don't do what the Gold Coast Suns just did after beating Sydney, and then, obviously they played really poorly against us on the weekend. So, what I'm excited about is the fact that the win could galvanise the group further, and we can build some momentum, hopefully get a win, but more importantly, just put in a really strong performance. I think the manner that we play this week is arguably more important than the actual win. Obviously the win is paramount, and that would be better than anything, but in a game like this where the stakes are a little bit more higher for GWS, I'm almost expecting us to lose in a sense. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about our younger players playing with confidence, and I hope Paddy Dow now starts exploding a bit more out of the pack, because he knows that he can do it. He knows how to gather his steps. Mark Murphy made a comment in his interview on the radio about how they were talking about Paddy Dow, like the group were talking about Paddy Dow, and how he had a few chances during the season where he could have kicked a goal once he exploded out of the pack, but he just wasn't composed enough. So it was good for him to get that first one out of the way. Hopefully that means he can continue doing it, because it would be, that's crucial. That's star talent. That's A-grade talent. That type of goal, that type of move, that type of running power is elite. And, only the better players in the competition have that ability. So I'm hoping that, he can build off that. I'm hoping Samo can build off his performance, knowing that he can get in the clinches. He filled a bit of a void that Zach Fisher left, and, he really took it upon himself to perform in that role. So I'm hoping that it'll build with the confidence that they've now been rewarded with after the win over the weekend. I'm excited for the Cripps and Murphy show. We haven't seen a 1-2 punch in the midfield since Judd and Murphy, really, in terms of Cripps being that bull who was, the Judd of 2009 to 2015. And, you've got Murphy, who was really up and coming in that period and sort of took the mantle after Judd had slowed down a little bit. So it's good to have the two of them playing well. Again, I think if we're going to be competitive this week, the two of them need to have similar games to what they've just had. I think they're both in really good form. I think they're both really healthy. Cripps is obviously a banged up guy, but he's a freak. He's a bull. He's got an appetite for the contest, and it's just good to see. And Murphy's been back for, I think, 4 or 5 weeks now, and so he's match fit. He's a veteran. He knows exactly what he needs to do to get himself right for the game. And barring an injury that happens in the game this week, I think they should both play really well. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Paddy Dow and Lockie O'Brien, at times matching up against Josh Kelly and Dylan Shiel. I'm really excited for that. Shiel and Kelly are guys that we have just recently seen up until a few years ago when they really did break out. But these are guys that we saw early in their careers who, showed those flashes in their first few years, and then, from year 3 onwards, arguably that, they've been stars of the competition. So it could be something that we could be looking at in the future. I actually don't mind O'Brien going with Lockie Whitfield as well, who's a really elite runner, one of the better runners in the competition. I would have loved to see Tom Scully playing, because I think he's another one that Lockie O'Brien can really learn off and emulate. So yeah, look, we've had the breakout performance as individuals. We've had a breakout performance as a collective. So I'm just excited to see that moving forward. What I'm nervous about, Jeremy Cameron's back. He's back from his suspension, and obviously he's a super talent, one of the best forwards in the game. He would be itching to get back on the field. Playing in Etihad, roof closed, perfect conditions. I think it's a danger game for us. Combine that with the fact that, key forwards or superstar key forwards have had a relatively good time against us because of the way we play our defense. So I'm definitely nervous about Jeremy Cameron and what he could do to us this week. What I'm nervous about is sort of like the flip side of what I was talking about with respect to the group being galvanized. So it could be, we talk a lot about it in the NBA, or with letdown spots. So, coming off such an emotional high puts us in a letdown spot. So, we've obviously we've celebrated the win, and so we should have, but it now puts our preparation for this week to the side for a little bit. That's just what I'm nervous about. Whether or not that's a reality, I don't know. It could go the other way. It could be an energy boost for the team. But I am mindful of the fact that, you know, we've been so high. GWS like, right, we got Carlton, we're ready, we'll start preparing, we'll start thinking about it. So nervous about that. The running power of the Giants certainly is something I'm mindful of, particularly if we turn the ball over like we have done for the majority of the season. I think their ability to just run, spread quickly, get it in their forward 50 is incredible. They're not too dissimilar to Melbourne in that, so I'm definitely nervous about that. So we're going to have to really slow the ball down. And that's probably what we did last season to get the win. We just slowed them down and switched it a lot and switched the ball a lot. Apologies. And so, yeah, those are the things I'm mindful about. Did I mention Jeremy Cameron? I'm really, really nervous about him. So that's how I see it. Suggested changes. I mean, you don't want to make too many changes to a winning side. I think you want to reward players for playing well. If I had to make any suggestions, I think, and it's unfortunate, but I think if Cruz is fit and firing, which he should be because he's had the extra week off now, and hopefully he's had a good training block throughout the week, I think he'll come in, and I don't think Lobe will stay in the side if Cruz is in there. So I would suggest that Cruiser comes in for Lobe, and I'm a little bit torn with this one. So Jared Pickett, you know, obviously we've earmarked him as a player for our future, and it might be a Cam Paulson situation where he might not be impacting a lot, but we just got to persist with him. So he could stay in the side. If he did come out, I would probably bring in Nick Graham. Now I've changed my tune with Graham because, you know, earlier this season I'd given up on, you know, the Nick Graham experience. I think, you know, now he's gone back to the VFL a few times and dominated each time he's gone back. Now that shows a lot of character, and that's a good type of character to have around a club like ours. So I wouldn't be so disappointed if Nick Graham got a recall. You know, 37 touches last week, and, you know, the Blues got a win as well. So if Pickett was to come out, I wouldn't be opposed to having Graham come back in. Having said that, Pickett and his speed is probably something that we'll need at times against the Giants. So he's really in an important phase of his season where he needs to perform, and he's put himself in a position this week where I'm talking about him getting dropped. So he needs to put in a performance where there's no doubt about him staying in the side. So that's how I see it. And obviously there's another, you know, situation where Wiedering could miss, you know, copped a really bad corky, and he's missed weeks before because of a corky, which wasn't as serious. So I'm mindful of him not getting up for the game. It could pave the way for a potential Angus Shoemaker debut. He played okay last week, and, you know, he's been building, but again, that's just speculation. So we'll see what happens. You know, really looking forward to it. And yeah, I'll upload the video of the Giants flashback, the Giants win flashback video from last year. And yeah, let's chat again on Thursday when the teams come out.